What is good, everyone? Shoobs here. Today we have a board that I've actually been on a lookout for since I saw it on Geekhack. Yeet. This is the Duality TKL by Saevus Labs. Now this board is super interesting both in design but especially for the internals, which is why I especially wanted to check this board out. So right off the bat, the board allows for six different mounting methods. God damn. So the board allows for the most based ones too, and are plateless tadpole with plate, plateless PCB top mount, PCB top mount with plate, gummy O-ring, and finally standard top mount. It's fucking nutty. Let's get a bit more into the board specific. So starting off, the board is up for group buy right now until September 17th. So when this video goes up, there actually won't be too much time until the group buy for this board ends. Sorry about that. The starting price of the board will be $500 for the keyboard, and plates and PCBs will be separate. So the final cost will most likely be in the upper 500 or even more, probably in the 6 to 700s depending on the configuration you want to go with. This is definitely not a cheap budget board, but with the stuff that this board offers, as well as some of the design aspects, I really think that it does warrant its price tag. Also, some background information on the group buy and the board itself. The designer Streamline was one of the many designers that was basically screwed over with the whole Mex & Co incident, and he is actually the one that uncovered what was going on. He got a whole Excel timeline and everything. Shit's pretty crazy. I'm not gonna go super into it though. I think Teha made a video showing more on what happened with the whole Mex & Co fiasco. But basically, in short, Mex & Co did a lot of they did a little trolling, and now they're getting smoked. But with that said, Streamline has decided to run the group by himself through saevus.org for America, and with prestige keys for anyone outside of America. Be sure to check out his Discord server. I'll leave the link in the description, where you can find the logs for the Duality, including very frequent updates and even what the actual production cost for this board is. There is a lot of transparency here to see why this board is priced as what it is, and the whole sort of timeline of the whole prototyping process and the manufacturing process as well, which I really appreciate and respect that Streamline is putting out there. That was a freaking mouthful, but with that out of the way, let's get into the keyboard itself finally. So the board will feature a full aluminum construction with a copper or stainless steel weight. Here are all the color options listed on the screen. Thank you, Bachoo. There's also a Raven SE version that is completely blacked out with a black brass weight and red accents. This color is probably my favorite. I love me a little edge. But here with me is the Astral color. I also have the Pazuzu top as well. The board features a very clean top case design with the upside down cross badge. I think the default color will be a light pink, but there's gonna be a lot of different color options. This one is the black one. The board also has a very clean side profile featuring HG sides as well as some additional curves. And on the back is some drastic curves that go inwards, and on the top as well. This is pretty cool. I really like this design. I think it looks quite nice. And finally, for the weight, we have these little horns sticking out. And for the engraving, I think the standard engraving will have this little guy in the front and this inside, but this is the alternate one. This is the Ouroboros on the back, and this is the how do you pronounce it? Baphomet? I think that's how you pronounce it. I just recently learned what this little guy was. The whole concept of the board actually isn't some super edgy demon stuff, but it's actually some very deep lore connecting to yin yangs and spiritual.
Meanwhile,
Alright, Shoobs, please pronounce the following word.
Illegitimate. Illegitimate. Yeah. Illegitimate. What? That's right.
There's
Illegitimate.
no way!
What? No, it's not? Illegitimate.
Oh my god, illegitimate.
Oh, okay, I actually have this list.
later.
Streamline actually has a whole document on the concepts that influenced the board, but it's super long, like a entire single-spaced document.
Wow, that's a lot of words. Too bad I'm not reading them.
Sorry, sir, I can barely read in the first place. But yeah, with my rudimentary knowledge of the concepts, I can still say this is a very cool looking board with many customizability options. So before we get into the internals of the board, here's a list of the changes that will be present in the final version, as this is a prototype just for your knowledge. So taking a look at the internals of the board, we can see the internal weight design as well as there's a lot going on. But the JST is hidden behind the weight. As you can see, there's some of these weird sort of angled pyramids or triangles right there, and this is a very interesting design. This is where the internal mounting, or not mounting, the internal screw points are. So when you are screwing it in, you actually screw it in an angle so it doesn't hit the top, or your screwdriver doesn't like scrape the top of the case accidentally. This is actually a game changer. I really like this. I'm someone with sweaty and shaky hands, so I really despise internally screwed boards, and this is a very nice touch. So these right here are the Gummy O-ring mounting points. Here on the top of the case you can see the plate top mounting points based on the Koala or Jane V2 points, but with the top changed up a little bit. You can also see the tadpole areas, and these actually work as the tadpole, or I mean not tadpole, but the plateless top mounting points as well. Yeah, straight off the internals, I can really say that there has been a lot of thought into making each of the mounting styles to be properly implemented, and I'm quite impressed. So for the build, Streamline actually sent in a lot of different builds for me to try out, but to showcase everything to you guys most properly, I'll be testing every single mounting possibility with, you know, Cherry MX Blacks. So there is one point I want to make about the separation of the plates. There's two different plate versions, one for the top mount and one for the tadpoles. So basically, this in theory should still work with the plateless mounting and with the plateless top mount. However, Streamline wanted to separate these two because in the super soft configurations, there could be a lot of movement of the plate, and these plate mounts could actually move around and hit the case, so that is why there's two different versions of this. Also, for the Gummy O-ring, there is only a 48 duro option because with testing due to internal fasteners, the harder O-rings would make too much pressure to close properly. Now let's finally get into all the multiple builds. Today is gonna be a long day. Welcome to another episode of Shoobs Talks Without a Fucking Script. I'm being extra sort of brain rot here. I'm like testing each of them X Black, so the best ones go on the alphas. I'm cherry picking, and you don't need to do that. I'm just stupid. But we are going to be putting OG Desco on here, which is a very, very nice set. The overall build process is pretty simple and very intuitive. I was sent the hot swap PCB, but I would actually recommend that you go soldered if you are going to go plateless. Alright, so here is how the complete build is looking like. I put OG Desco on this. I think the sort of faded old keycaps, the beige yellowing keycaps look really nice with the light blue right here. Top down. Oof. Bottom. Sides. Oh my god, my hands. It's sort of hot today, but yeah, this is a very, very nice looking build. Let's see how this sounds and feels. Now, let's finally get into what I think of this keyboard. Now, this sentiment that I'm going to go on is going to be focused directly on the plateless tadpole and plateless top mount configurations specifically. I'm going to get serious for a second. For my personal tastes, okay, personal. Many of you know that it is quite wide, like myself, but I do love a soft, comfortable typing feel. I also love playlists, and I also love top mounts that are slightly more rigid but very lively, but that can still be soft with the right mounting points, PCB thickness, and plates. Some of my very favorite keyboards in a very long list of keyboards that I've tried over the years include such boards as the Matrix 2.0 ADD, Studio Kestra Nue, Bachoo's Oro, even though I don't want to tell him that, fuck you Bachoo, Geon's F1, and many others. I've also owned a huge list of what this hobby considers endgame, like the OTD 360C, OTD 356 Mini, Jane, you know. The list goes on. All I'm saying is I've wasted a lot of money and I've tried a lot of crazy boards out there. This keyboard right here, the Duality, is now part of that list. This is probably my favorite TKL that I've tried this year, at least for my personal taste, and is in the top sort of list of generally any board that I've personally loved typing on. That is a pretty high bar, but that is truly what I am feeling right now. And I want to note that I wasn't paid for this review. I did not receive this board to keep, and I will be spending my money directly on this as soon as I'm done filming, because I really do like it. Now, let's get to why I feel this way. First off, this board is pushing the boundaries on mounting capabilities done right. Each of the mounting styles that the board allows for does its job as well as any board that would be designed specifically for their mounting style. Now, first getting into the plateless tadpole and plateless top mount configurations first, which is my favorite. It is a soft bottom out with a slight amount of vibrations and bounce, but the overall typing experience is actually not overly soft. It is a great mix of slightly firm yet super comfortable that I personally really enjoy. There is also quite a noticeable amount of flex as well, and as for the sound, it is that lively sort of signature pop of a plateless build with some deeper undertones. The spacebar especially is a real slapper. One thing I might note is that when the PCB is pushed a little too hard, the PCB could actually bottom out. But when typing normally, I don't really see this as a case that would realistically happen unless you're going like this when you're typing, but that means you got other issues that you gotta sort through. Now, going into the top mount configuration, it is a pretty standard top mount, you know, the regular Jane V2 sort of mounting points with the top mounting points changed up a bit. But I personally didn't see that do too much. It is still fairly rigid, a bit softer with the soft plate. It is not a bad top mount per se. I think it is alright, but in all honesty, it is pretty standard overall. Now, going into the Gummy O-ring, I feel like this is the weakest aspect of the board in my personal opinion. It was not terrible per se, it wasn't bad, but I didn't really see anything jump out to make it a unique Gummy O-ring board, and I found that it was on the stiffer side of Gummy O-rings, which I personally don't like that much. Damn, this video had a lot of words. My script is getting close to like 2,000 at this point, but all in all, this board is a banger for me. It is comfortable to type on, truly unique, and offers some of the best plateless sound and feel in a TKL that I've tried. The price is quite high, and this is going to be very niche, but if you're looking for sort of like a endgame type TKL that is really great at plateless while offering many of the popular mounting types, and you know, have that expendable cash, you don't need to have that cash, you can just have poor financial decisions like me, but in that sense, you can go for this board. But I just want to say this one last time. All I am saying here is based on my personal preferences. I like what I like. But yeah, with that said, this to me personally gets a big thumbs up of certified approval. It's a banger. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out Zom 100. The first episode got me, man. The first episode it goes crazy. You guys should check it out. It really shows the world of what being a wagey is like. But yeah, it's a very entertaining show. Pretty good. Yeah, check it out.